So, welcome to this live energy forecast. And I'm here on the day of the post of Imbolc. So that's happening over the first and the second, and still really feel like I'm in Imbolc energy. It's been so lovely actually for me to see that there's been so many people posted about this old wheel of the year, and that the Imbolc was kind of scattered all across my social media, and that was really nice for me to see because this is such an ancient celebration. And I think that in a modern day, when we're getting used to kind of like things that are mostly celebrated because it's like big, or we get presents, or there's some matter there, that these more delicate celebrations have been lost, really. And they're really important because for me, they feel definitely more spiritual and more significant. And they really make me deeply reflect on what my ancestors would have done, and also connected to what the symbology is of these significant turning of the wheel that feels very deeply rooted in my biology and in my blood and bones, rather than in the calendar that's suppressed upon us. So I was looking at this little gorgeous it's a little snowdrop. My friend collected me some snowdrops yesterday from the woods on the way down, and the snowdrop is really symbolic of Imbolc, and as is the swan. So I put it in a lovely little swan vase that I've got. It's so sweet, and it opened up yesterday because of the heat in the house. But all these symbols are whizzing around the forecast this week for sure. So I just want to talk about the swan. I've had lots of swan symbology showing itself to me, in particular in a dream that I had recently, but also in the work that I've been doing. And the swan is a symbol of wisdom. It's a deep Y symbol, and it includes this awakening power of the self, the balance, the grace, the beauty, the inner innocence that's in us, the self-esteem, and also seeing into the future. The swan is a very future forward looking animal, and it's evolutionary, and it has these deep intuitive instinct attributes to it as well. And it's, white is the symbol of purity and innocence and that like divineness. I know in England the swans are protected by the queen, so they're like a royal bird, like connected to a protection as well, and also about how we deal with others and commitment. So some of those themes might have been coming up with you. I know that for me, also the swan is divine union and the integration of masculine and feminine. They partner up for life. And that brings up that whole inner matrimony within us, within our energy of the podcast I did this week with Bart Sharp, which was on Eros and Logos, which are feminine and masculine principles. And also within my own field of study and work, Jungian psychology of the animate and animus, and how that relates to these energies inside of us that are trying to make balance and trying to make peace, or not, as we see reflected in the world around us. And this is all really heading that way, this energy forecast reading. The energy of Imbolc is about a threshold. It really is the beginning of something very new. And we're starting to put winter behind us, yay. And in the other hemisphere, the ends of summer is coming. It's still a transition time, it's still a change, and life is beginning to stir for us on this side with new life, and on the other side the opposite, the hibernation, the going in. So this is, for us in Imbolc in the spring, it's that period of initiation, of potentiality, of things that are potential for us. And for the opposite side of the hemisphere, the southern, it's about what has happened, and what am I going to start to reflect on. So we're in different energies. It's a very yin and yang energy, a very male and female energy when we're looking at the two different hemispheres. But I want to focus on this side of the hemisphere because I think, a lot of my listeners and viewers, America and England and France and Europe, and I do have a lot of Australian also. So I'm sorry if this is sometimes feels more cyclic, but that's where, I am in the cycle here, and it has a deep effect on my psychology. So I want you to feel that wherever you are in the world, like what the season's like, what that field is doing to you and your psyche as we move through like an energy forecast. We're totally should be in harmony with the earth, and that brings its own set of things to think about on a spiritual path as well. But yeah, the Imbolc arriving is, I put three things down in my notes. It's about hope without certainty. We're kind of aware that there's this new hope coming, that there's a new path starting, there's a new year coming ahead, and we can't be certain what that looks like, but we have that feeling of anticipation. So you're going to be feeling that this week. What are you anticipating? Can you feel new coming in? And you do not need clarity. That's why New Year's Eve and all them old traditions or new traditions really mess us up. We're trying to stick and look at clarity, and we haven't finished one cycle, yet alone beginning another. When we're looking at another cycle, to think of clarity is ridiculous, because on a spiritual path, we're going with the flow of energy. Life's unpeeling, unfolding. The rose doesn't know what it looks like until it begins to peel back its petals, and it's kind of like that for you. So you may have some impulses arising, but it's not clear why. So that's okay too. That you're not sure, you'll have a feeling of hope, that there's certain impulses beginning. Like I had a first impulse yesterday about what I'm going to do and move to. For the first time, there's this impulse, and I was like, okay. And it's not that clear, but it was there. So I'm going to sit with that. And then the longing. So for me, there is a longing for change. There is a longing that this new cycle is going to open, and that's going to radically change my life. And this is what you'll be feeling, this change. And we still don't need to know what that looks like in form. So it's quite a formless time. When you look at the nature around you, it's like things are beginning to bud, but it's not really winter and it's not really spring yet. It's that limerence, that kind of in between space. So there's no certainty. There's just this, I know that there's going to be flowers. I don't know what that looks like. And so think about that in your own life. Like what's happening for you right now that has no real clarity, but there's a gurgling, there's a bubbling underneath that would allow you to be in bulk energy. And I wrote the piece yesterday that Imbolc reminds us that becoming begins long before proof appears. We don't need proof. We just have to sit in the longing. And that brings in the energy of also of Brigid's flame, because Brigid is the goddess that we associate with Imbolc, and she holds this inner flame of hope, healing, purification, and what's coming in with the new. So yeah, holding Brigade's flame within. You can see my altar behind me has the snowdrops on. It's got white flowers. I've lit a new candle for Imbolc, and I'm feeling the energy of the altar changing to the unknown, but to the new. So having an altar can really embody that in your home and in your energy fields as well. We've also just had this weekend Imbolc fuse with Leo full moon energy, and this is really about visibility and sovereignty. When we think about Leo, it's that kind of courageous, charismatic, bold energy. And a full moon in Leo is going to bring up themes like self expression. Are you expressing yourself? Are you allowing yourself to be 100% you? This has come up over the last few weeks as well. No dilution, but with some self reflection. So, am I How am I coming across? Is this authentic? Is it me? Am I diluting? Am I hiding? What am I doing that could indicate that I'm suppressing my expression or my essence? Because if we think about the earth as it is at the moment, with all these like seedlings and the bulbs, my daffodil bulbs, they're there, I can feel them. They're kind of tuning into this self-expression. They have an essence. They know what they stand for. They don't know what form they're going to take yet, but that essence is there. And that's what this Leo full moon is asking of us as we come into the Imbolc energy, into this beginning. So about being visible. We've been hiding, haven't we? Hermiting. I know that this is probably the first year in years that I've really have spent a lot of time just resting and being at peace and sat by the fire and having early nights. And that is now beginning to go away slowly and allowing myself to be more visible. And that visibility will bring up things like leadership, like where in your life does leadership need to be applied? Because Leo's very leadership, so we're feeling that in this energy is, what do I need to lead? And it's not necessarily others, but where do you need to lead in your own life? What needs leading, and having that, what we call in Jungian psychology, that like executive function, that space in us that makes decisions, pioneers things, and leads things forward. So be thinking about that. This isn't in full expression yet, of course, but Leo's teasing us and helping us work into this leadership, this executive function. And if we can tune into the heart, Leo's like very heart energy as well, very lion energy, very um, roaring energy, then the heart's truth could lead us. So, what have you tuned into your heart recently? Have you been there? Have you been feeling the heart? What is it asking for? Because this super full moon, we know the full moons are deeply emotionally charged, and quite often very shadow emotionally charged as well. We can be very closed mind around full moons. We can behave erratically. It brings up that dark, that occult part of us that is wild and feral and has been unhealed, almost like, the Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, that part of him that's really kind of wild and broken. And that comes out of us at full moon. And it's to be aware of that part of you, to recognize it, not to condemn it or suppress it back into the psyche, but allowing it to come up and to emote it, to allow the emotions through. That's how these shadow parts of us really want to be seen, heard, and emoted. That will move us forward. And if we can do that, we can feel what we need, what we truly need. We don't need to be the angry one all the time, because we understand that underneath our anger or our fierceness or our harshness or our judgmentalness or all of those things that we can cast upon ourselves, or others might say that we don't want to admit, underneath that is pain and hurt and something that wants to show itself. So can you feel that very thing that may be hidden under lots of shadow, or explosive emotions or reactions or defenses? So really feeling into those shadowy parts of you without apology of the shadow aspects. It's more about having the humility to know that there are these worse parts of you or bad parts of you, not bad, but you know what I mean, less pure and light as we all like to think we are, but that's completely and utterly human. And the moon energy allows them to come out and to be seen so that we can work with them. But what's really under this Leo energy, under the shadow here, is this want to be seen, that the self wants to be seen, and first and foremost by you, that you see yourself. When we see ourselves, and Leo's quite courageous in this area, that we see ourselves and then we express from that sight, from that, I'm this, and that's how I'm going to express it. If we can do that under this energy, we don't need to explain ourselves or hope to be seen, because a rose is a rose, for example, and it doesn't need to tell everyone in the garden, hey, I'm a rose. They can see that. So this is about you expressing, having full power over your essence and being courageous to be you. And then there's no explanation, there's no deep longing to be seen because it's bloody visible. So it's about that visibility and confidence. That was the other thing that is connected to this, is your confidence. Where do you lack confidence, and where do you pretend you don't because we're in ego? I had a situation with someone this week, and this person was very unconfident and was coming to meet in a meeting with me, and the space of the word confidence came up quite a few times, and I thought, oh, this person's struggling with some confidence issues, and then pulled out. And this was really a real sign under this Leo moon that we are can be inhibited by the lack of confidence, and by not recognizing that there is that part of us that is not confident. And I think certain personalities really struggle with that, or some personalities really believe they're confident and are not. So have a little feel into your confidence levels. Where are you confident? Where do you lack confidence? Just try to bring that into your awareness, because you'll see where, if you're not aware of it, it will actually like hold you back. It will really hold you back. So, yeah, I'm just going to give you a moment actually. I just want you to take a moment to close your eyes, and I want you to just feel that place of of confidence, the place in you that is unconfident, might hold back from certain things, and the part of you that believes that you're confident, but really you may not be. And just allow yourself a second more. The confidence thing I think is important. It can really hold us back. And this leads directly, as you take a big deep breath, from understanding a little more about your confidence, and maybe this needs more exploration, but into the space in you where that collides with leadership, to have a great executive function, to be able to lead forward in your own life or others or a project or whatever that might be. You need to have a certain amount of confidence, and these fields are very linked when we come into this Leo moon energy. So I think overall, Leo's asking us, like, where do I want to be seen by myself? Where is confidence restrained or lacking? And am I using my heart to recognize how I want to lead forward, so I can stand in my expression of myself? Because I do think that the expression is important. This is key, the super moon here, because the title of today's podcast, Energy Cast, is that there's a karmic turning point going on, and there really is. And that is linked to this energy of courage, of leadership, of you leading your life forward, of you having the courage and the confidence to do that. They're like the foundations of this karmic point. And things about confidence and courage might have been coming up to this point. And I spoke about the Grand Cross. So the full moon has participated in that grand cross. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back to the previous two podcasts where I do talk about it. But it creates pressure from these multiple directions. And it's a grand cross in us with this energy is there is a sense of urgency. Like, I really need to change. Like, I can't go on like this, or this has to go. There's that inner urgency that's beginning to grow inside of you, and a sense that where we've been very stuck, where it's felt very stagnant, that there's this now inner pull that's trying to pull us forward. It's trying to take us to where we need to go. So it feels like a wanting to move and but a needing to wait. So you'll feel the push pull in that. And I always say in my psychological work, when we've got a push pull dynamic, when we've got wanting to move but needing to stay, we've got the tension of the opposites. And when we've got the tension of the opposites, we get this new birth channel. We get this new thing that comes from two forces being pulled opposite way. So this is that kind of moment where there feels like there's an inner conflict. There's one thing wanting to move, another thing needing to wait, and clarity will arrive, I promise you, in that third place where we have to sit in the discomfort of those two things pulling in opposite directions, because that's the very energy that redirects us, that reorientates us. And that is a key word again for these few weeks, is reorientation. There's lots of reference in the astral world to this, the nodes of fate. These are all swimming around us at the moment. We are in a deep karmic turning point in our world collectively and on a humanistic level on our own, by our own self. So the nodes are active at the moment in making all this a configuration. They're marking a destiny axis for us that brings in themes of the idea that certain karmas are completing and that there is a new evolutionary direction wanted from you as a person, and a new evolutionary direction from the collective as a whole, because that happens once the individual starts to make these evolutionary movements. So does the whole. And it is more aligned to soul choice. We've just had years of energy and lots of intellect, lots of movement through the mind, through the logos, through the masculine principle. And now what we've got is this deepening, this inward time that wants us to connect to soul, that makes us move forward. So all our situations at the moment that we're in are carrying a sense of inevitability or significance. So I reflect over the last period that I've been in. And for me now, even though it's been really tough, really difficult, I sit here thinking it was inevitable that this was going to be the way it was. It was inevitable. That would never have lasted. It didn't have the longevity. I am not that person anymore that I was 1 year, 2 years ago. I'm sitting at the threshold of redesigning myself, refocusing myself, really feeling who I am and what direction I want to go in. And that is going to propel me forward. So it cannot look like what it looked like, because that simply wouldn't work. So the question here in this kind of node of fate, in this karmic turning point in your life, is what future am I aligning with through my choices now? We can all have a vision and a dream, a belief, like, oh, this is what I want life to look like. But if you don't make the right choices now, this is never going to transpire. This will never manifest. Manifestation is rooted in the deep spaces of being conscious, being aware, making the right choices, taking the right actions. They are what create a manifestation. If you stick in stagnancy and stuckness and in old patterns, those new dreams aren't going to form. if you don't know who you are going to become, what archetype you are, what energy you want to be in, what behavior you want to be starting to give out, the direction won't form that you really instinctually and intuitively feel with inside you. And this is one of the reasons I'm doing the Becoming the Archetype class tomorrow night. It's a live class, but it's also recorded because it's going to be it's not as much interactive as it is a pedagogical kind of formulation of how you begin to make very clear the archetype in you that wants to go forward in this next 7 year cycle. If we can do this, if we can get an idea of what are the symbols, what is the structure of it in my personality, how does that behave compared to me as a person now, then you're going to really find yourself in a completely different space, a completely different space. So if you feel that you want to be your own oracle cards, never mind looking at the goddesses or others to give you that kind of, growth. If you want to be your own oracle card, come and do the class with me and really get it anchored in who you are, where you're going, what choices am I taking, what behaviors do I need to put in place, and what old patterns are going as new pathways call me forward. That is the anchoring into the new karmic path for you. So there is this pull forward to the unknown, like the great attractor. The big pull forward is when the mystery, we call it all names: divinity, God, creator, goddess, Gaia, universe, whatever you want to call it. But when that mystery gives us an evolutionary pull, we bloody feel it. And it's beyond all understanding, beyond all rationality, because the mind cannot have any safe ground in the mystery. The mind cannot have any safe ground in the unknown. Our minds like to grab hold of. And so here we've got this huge, mysterious, evolutionary pull forward that you cannot deny. Even if, people that are super unconscious, life will be pulling them with this evolutionary pull. And it might look horrible. It might look like death and crisis and chaos and disruption and heartache and suffering. But that is the evolutionary pull. It is the way we move forward. And when we're in this kind of evolutionary pull that we're finding ourselves in, that's coming up this week, it feels a little bit soft these 2 days because we're still in that opening Imbolc, but it is going to come. We're going to start to feel what's unfamiliar. We're going to feel a little bit nervous about change. There'll be fear that creeps in. This is normal when we're in new territory. It's the unknown. But it's the future self that's calling us at this point. And it's also a larger destiny field than you could fantasize, think, or imagine. Destiny has its own grand picture, and we walk through life like this. So we've got this huge movement as to where it's going to go, where it's going to pull forward to as we move forward. So that grand attraction is super important to feel where you're going, where you're going. I just need to get my charger because I forgot to plug it in. So if you're feeling unsettled, if you're feeling really like in a space where things are moving and I'm not sure and I'm a little bit, change makes us feel really uncomfortable. You're in the right energy. This is the upheaval that's necessary for movement to happen. And as I said last week, if there's any initiation worth doing, there is always loss, always. So how can I sum up this week's energy? Pretty radical, yeah, and changing, and forces within you that feels like a push-pull. But basically, Imbolc has lit the inner flame within you. It's brought Brigid's flame to your womb. And Leo in the moon is asking us to step forward with courage
and self-reflection and expression. So with the self-reflection, we can express ourselves differently, more courageously. And the Grand Cross is still creating pressure within you. It demands truth. It demands you to get honest. And the nodes are activating this karmic resolution and opening you up to a bigger destiny than you can imagine at the moment. There's this great attractor that is also pulling your consciousness with the collective consciousness forward to a new future. You cannot fight it. I was saying today to someone when I was in the gym this morning, like, you know, the kickoff about AI or about any of these new technologies is always what happens when new technology comes in. I remember being in high school when the internet came out and people were saying the same thing. I'm not using the internet, and oh, this is too futuristic and it's going to cause us harm and all of that. And the same things happen when anything new comes out and we do advance. We do, you know, people might not see it an advancement, but this is human advancement. This, anything that's in our world is a design of the creator. I don't believe anything is out of creator's wishes or destiny. I believe AI is part of it, but I believe that like anything, it can be used harmfully. And that goes within all of the tension, the push and the pull is light and dark in absolutely everything, in a person, in the nature, everything is in shadow and light. So as we pull forward, we're going to feel us moan, complain, get scared about certain things that are part of the evolutionary pull forward, that are teaching us as humans how to behave, teaching us as humans how to evolve. They're part of the game, as I call it, of life. So don't be surprised if things come in and challenge you, and open your mind to that everything is as dangerous as it in the wrong hands. Like we say, a pair of scissors can be a craft or it can be a dangerous weapon. It's all what's in the hands, and are we doing the work on us in the inner realms so that things aren't harmful, so that things are being used for the greater good of the world? I think that's key as we move forward into this great attraction, this great pull forward. So it is a threshold week. Think about the decisions that you are making, the behaviors that you are displaying, because these are setting the paving stones forward to where your new identity is, where fate is holding building blocks for you, and where fate and emergence meet. That's all coming. So yeah, it's a lot, but I'm excited by it. I'm really truly excited by it. I felt so stagnated, so stuck, so thinking, oh my goodness, I'm not moving this piece, and I'm going to end up in this groundhog space forever. But now I'm trusting nature, thank you, that things do always shift and move. And so work the energy this week by tending the inner spark, the inner flame, rather than forcing outcomes. We don't want a furnace yet. It is just a flame. Allow emotional intensity to inform clarity. So what you're emotional about will inform you and give you some clarity. Notice where pressure reveals truth. Choose alignment over familiarity. Don't pick it because it's safe, because it's comfortable. In fact, the opposite. And then trust the pull towards what is forming. It's calling your future softly this week, and your heart can bravely answer this call, knowing that the soul wants to align to the path rather than your wounds, your fears, your lack of confidence, and your head to rule over the heart. So there's gonna be this just this heart energy. Leo is quite a big heart energy as well. So I hope that helps you navigate this week and work with it, do the work. And I'm not meaning just sat with it, do it. You know, that's why I put this course on, Becoming the Archetype, because I want to give some people something to do with it, something that actually is going to produce action that gives you clear guidelines of what you should and shouldn't be doing. So if you feel the call to join me, it's tomorrow evening live, but the recording is placed straight in. There's a worksheet as well that will help you go through this next month of thinking about this archetype that will lead you through the year and the future. And that is extensive. That worksheet can be done if you wish. If not, you can leave it. And there's also the chance to get an oracle card made with your face on it, because for too long I have been always saying to women, giving the power away to these goddesses. The goddess energy lies within you. These archetype cards are you. They're already in you, and you are the oracle. So it's an amazing opportunity. The women have had a profound impact already on even just the oracle cards being made with their face on. They have had a deep transmission from that. So if you feel the call, I'll stick the links on underneath this video. I'd love to see you there. And I'm just wishing you, you know, all the grace of this little swan as she moves through this week's energy. And take care, and bye for now.